Well, the Constitutional Court will hear Jacob Zuma's rescission application on the 12th of July. So where to from here? I'm joined now by lawyer Daniel Witz to get the latest on that matter. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I mean, when we're looking at what is to happen on Tuesday, can you just give us clarity? What will be happening at the Pietermaritzburg High Court come Tuesday?
Sure. Good evening to all the viewers, and thank you for having me on the show. Well, this is definitely unprecedented because in my career, I've never heard of a high court having the ability to hear or overrule a constitutional court order or suspend a constitutional court order. And essentially, that's what the erstwhile President Jacob Zuma is trying to do through his legal team on Tuesday. Whether he succeeds, I highly doubt it, but he can't say that the courts aren't willing to hear him.
And when it comes to, some of the explanations that he's made, I mean, also even citing the fact that he is an older citizen, he's vulnerable when it comes to his health. And are these, though, a basis, and do they give merit to some of his arguments? He is indeed an older citizen. He does indeed have a fragility as compared to the rest of a human society. Will that not then ensure that he holds a little bit more leverage?
Well, essentially his argument is nothing new. His legal team and his lawyers and himself keep rehashing the same old argument. The only new aspect is that the health issue, this unheard health issue, which he still doesn't fully disclose. If you recall, on the previous occasion with his criminal trial, he gave a very simple, short medical certificate from an army doctor, but didn't set out what the illness is. In terms of this, then surely if you're saying that I'm a vulnerable citizen, this is my age, then every single person who is imprisoned or should be imprisoned of his age should be released immediately. You can't now come along and say prison's a death sentence, so therefore not only does the law not apply to me, but even though you're trying to apply the law to me, don't apply the punishment that follows that law. And the rule of law is paramount. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you hail from. The prisons, as they say, and you'll recall it happened with Angelo Agrizzi when he had his health issues, the prison said, we have the facilities, we're adequately equipped to deal with any health issues. And I'm sure they'll take account of that regarding Mr. Zuma's age and his health status.
Come the 12th of July, should the decision then be made by some, force of nature, that the Constitutional Court indeed just says, actually we may have made an error or perhaps we need to relook our judgment, what ramifications does that have on the Constitutional Court, which, by the way, is the highest court in the land?
I agree. It's the highest court in the land. It's the last train out of town. And for the ConCourt, which ruled against Mr. Zuma in a 7-2 majority, to now come and say, well, we deliberated on this for 3 months. We gave you more than 2 opportunities to come forward. Actually, we made a mistake. I can't see that happening. But if it does, it has massive implications for our country. And again, it goes back to the rule of law. The Constitutional Court, which gave Mr. Zuma more than 1 opportunity, the Zondo Commission, which gave him more than 1 opportunity, he asked for his day in court. He refuses to appear for his day in court. He says he's not afraid to go to prison. When the axe comes down and he has to go to prison, he now says, I don't want to go to prison. So he needs to pick a side. And the Constitutional Court are more than generous. They are showing unbelievable amounts of mercy by over and above giving him a shorter sentence than the state asked for, which was 2 years. They've given him 15 months, which will probably serve half of that. And they giving him even more mercy by saying, come before the court and we'll hear you again, even though he made radical comments referring to the Constitutional Court judges as apartheid judges, which is completely unfounded.
Now, again, it's back to the Constitutional Court. Many analysts are saying, Daniel, that the Constitutional Court is being tested and it's being tried. It's uncharted waters, it's unprecedented times. But certainly a spotlight now has been cast on the constitutionality and the rights of citizens, as well as the role that the Constitutional Court plays in being able to uphold that very same principle.
I cannot stress how important that statement you just said is. Again, the rule of law, but also separation of powers. Our Constitutional Court, the highest court in the land, needs to show that no matter who you are, if you are a citizen of the Republic of South Africa, you must abide by the law, you must abide by the Constitution. We are the highest court in the land, and you need to follow the rules that we set down for every citizen in South Africa. And for him to turn up his nose at the Constitutional Court again and again and again, They've had enough. They deliberated. They gave an unbelievably well thought out, well written judgment.
Yeah.
They're giving him a further opportunity to come before them and say why they got it wrong. And for him to ask the Constitutional Court, all of the judges, other than the minority judges, to admit that they got it wrong, I don't see that happening. Most of the judges on that Constitutional Court bench were chosen by President Zuma during his presidency. So for him to say that they're biased, he's the victim, and that they haven't applied their minds is a radical swing for him.
Well, Daniel, they may not say that they were wrong. What they may say is that they have considered the application put before, the Constitutional Court judges by former President Jacob Zuma's legal team, and based on the considerations that were articulated, even though you've just said that it's nothing new, but based on the consideration, and also let's not negate the climate and the political contentions that we're dealing with, then we will reconsider giving you a suspended 15-month sentence. Possible, plausible, maybe, or not?
Well, up until Friday evening when the urgent application was launched, I would say it's not possible, but clearly most things in this country are possible and plausible. But I would like to think that this is purely to show him a bit of mercy, to let him say what he needs to say, final chance. But for the Constitutional Court to overrule themselves and to say, okay, we've reconsidered it, I don't think there should be another bite at the cherry. The Constitutional Court, as you correctly said, that is your last chance. We gave you an opportunity to be heard. You threw it in our face. This is the punishment. You are a citizen of the country, of the Republic of South Africa. You have to abide by the Constitution.
Well, of course, former President Jacob Zuma is currently addressing the media. And given the address that is taking place now, Daniel, as we consider, as I said, unfortunately, this is not just former President Jacob Zuma against the legal system. This is now former President Jacob Zuma, along with his supporters, against that. Could the judges buckle under the pressure of a populist opinion and a South Africa that is dealing with a contentious political climate?
It's a difficult question, that, because our judges obviously watch the news, they see Twitter, they read the newspapers, and it's difficult for that not to play in your mind. But the most important thing for any judge, whether you're a magistrate, a high court judge, and especially a Constitutional Court judge, you have to have unfettered discretion and independence. You cannot let it sway on your opinion. And if anything, our erstwhile President, Mr. Zuma, should come out, if he believes himself to be a leader, and tell everyone to stand down and show that the law, the rule of law is the most important part of this country for our democracy and our new dawn and our new democracy.
We'll leave it there. Daniel Witz giving us the latest analysis on that matter. And as you can see there on your screen, former President Jacob Zuma addressing the media, giving us just the latest insight around the decisions from the legal team. Well, onto this story.